Okay, so welcome everyone to the Evolve Voices podcast, a platform to hear about the fascinating stories behind the people that power global commerce. I'm Mayssa Nasr. I am marketing and growth consultant, and I am your host for the Middle East region of Evolve Voices. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with an incredible guest, Nayla el Khoury. Nayla started actually her career in marketing before making a bold transition into the world of production, where today she has become one of Lebanon's top producers. So she's a driving force behind bringing world-class musicals and theater production to the region. And she's making international shows actually accessible to the local audience. So today we'll dive into her journey, the challenges of being a producer, and what it takes actually to bring Broadway-level productions to the Middle East. Nayla, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mayssa. Thank you for having me. Such an honor. Thank you for the introduction.
So, Nayla, before getting into, the word of production, we'll delve into it. I just wanted to know, you had your own marketing company, right? Before that.
I still have.
You
I
still have.
my.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us more about, how is it today to be an entrepreneur? First, as a woman in the Middle East, and second, as a mom, and third, in general, being an entrepreneur is not an easy, it's something, right? So if you can tell us just more about this entrepreneurial, path that you decided.
Being an entrepreneur in Lebanon, whether a woman or a man, before going into the Middle East, that's something else, because Lebanon is the most beautiful country in the world and forever will be. But it has its challenges, and it has its ups and downs. Lately, more downs than ups, but still it has room for a lot of opportunities. And we have a love and passion for Lebanon that makes everything go maybe okay somehow. But I was raised in Lebanon. I had my opportunities to go out of Lebanon, to go to the US, to work from the US, but traveled the world, and Lebanon is still there. It's still the core of everything that we do. It has its challenges because it's not stable. You never have a stable year. You cannot forecast properly like everybody else around the globe. You can plan, but the plan can go up in the air and in a millisecond, and you have to start over. In production, in communication, in marketing, in any field, it is hard for everyone. But we make it happen because there is something in us that makes us want to fight and stay there. And because when you said I'm a mother and I want to raise my children in Lebanon, because I believe it's a perfect combination of freedom and value system and a beautiful country and so many things that make it wonderful. So we make the extra effort probably to stay there and to work there.
How did you decide actually to open your own company? So why didn't you go and just be an employee like, almost everyone?
The story starts with my brother, because my brother wanted me to get into business with him. He owned the company before me, but then he decided to move to the US, and he left to the US and was like, come along. I was like, no, I'm staying here. And he said, okay, it's all yours now. And this is how I started. But this was more of a digital company. So we used to produce and to develop websites, mobile applications, e-commerce platforms, news portals. And then along the way, I met my partner, Omar Sadeh, who together we decided to create MAD, which is a communication agency. It's a remote communication agency. So we don't have offices. We don't charge people for our coffee machines, for our electricity, stuff like that. Yeah. We work anywhere around the globe, and our team is everywhere around the globe. We have people in Belgium, we have people in Iraq, we have people in the US, so a little bit everywhere. And we work like that. And together we continued this. Nice. And I've always had this entrepreneurship kind of trait.
So, okay, perfect. So, and then how long have you been into the production world?
So the production world, we've started it in 2015, Roy and I. Roy is my cousin. He's the one who introduced me to this whole world. Yeah. He came back from the US. He went to the US. He studied in New York, everything related to musical theater. He came back to Lebanon and he was like, Nayla, I wanna create my own musical. And I was like, yes, of course you should. I want your help. Yes, of course. I thought it would be a website, a logo, campaign, a marketing campaign. I was like, no, I want you to be the producer. And this is how it started. And it was very hard at the beginning because it's a whole new system, a whole new world for me. But he was like, you have the character for it. Everything else you could learn. And this is how it started.
Nice. Okay, so what were the challenges that you faced at the beginning when you first started in the production world?
First of all, I was 25.
Okay.
I was very young
Yeah.
in a business of sharks.
Okay.
And I was a woman and a 25-year-old coming from a whole different world
Yeah.
of marketing and advertising. I had zero to little to zero knowledge about everything is technical. Like the first technical rider that I seen was like, what is this? What are these words? What's the difference between a neck mic and a head mic and a shore and what is all of this? And it came at its own price because we had to discover, Roy and I, what were the best people to work with, what's the best equipment to work with, and it started like that. And it was the hardest part is to be taken seriously to start with, because what we were doing, even our parents did not take us seriously when we started. It was like we went ahead and we booked the Casino du Liban, a 1,000 seats theater, the biggest in Lebanon, the most prestigious in Lebanon. We decided to create something called One Night on Broadway. Our parents came to watch the rehearsals a day ahead, and they were like, "Oh dear goodness, we've invited our friends. What are we going to do?" But that's the beauty about theater. Rehearsals are never the show, never.
Okay.
And the second day, the show was amazing. We got a standing ovation. We were like two 25-year-olds looking at each other, Roy and I, like, we got a standing ovation.
So actually, you kind of took a leap of faith, right? By,
Yeah.
just, wow.
Just a leap of faith.
Yeah. It's amazing. Okay. And did you take any skills from your marketing background that you helped in the project? Okay.
Actually, it's not marketing only. I'm a scout. I'm a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout for 15 years. And I think the biggest chunk that I took into production was from my Girl Scout years, because you learn to manage a huge number of people in a setting under a lot of stress. You multitask, you handle tasks that you've never handled before, you manage events, you do a lot of things. So that's one. Two, in terms of marketing and working in a communication business, you deal with a lot of events for the clients, you work under a lot of pressure, very long hours. So it's kind of similar in that way. And also putting all of my communication and marketing knowledge into promoting the events, into putting, like, in communication, we always talk about the user experience, you put yourself into your target audience shoes. So that helps also in looking at the production in a critical way and understanding it from a client perspective. What could suit the biggest chunk of people, because musical, like when we started with One Night on Broadway back in 2015, we were like the first to do this again. Like we hadn't had any musical theater experience in so long in Lebanon. Theater was there, of course, but having a full-fledged orchestra, live singing, live dancing, people were not believing what they were saying. Like even when we go out, they still ask us, is this pre-recorded? I promise it's not. This is the hardest part of the job, that all of this is happening live. So it's not only communication, it's not only Girl Scouts, it's not only learning something online, reading articles, reading books. It's all of it combined together that I think makes the recipe work.
Okay. And I know that being a producer involves wearing many hats, right? Can you walk us a bit through like a typical day for you in the production world?
But I'm going to take you to the first steps of creating a production, because this is where we put so many hats on. So one is the budgeting part, it's the financial part, because it has to be financially logical, because we are in Lebanon, the target audience is too small, and then the country is too small, and the capabilities are too small, sponsorship packages are too small. So it has to make sense. And the number of people that are involved in a production is always huge. We're never under 70. We're between 70 to 150 people. Yeah.
Okay.
So putting all of these on an Excel sheet, handling a number of costumes, number of decor, food, travel, because there are so many, like we try to have as many Lebanese talents as possible, but a lot have left the country. So we end up with a lot of musicians coming out of the country. So you have the financial hat, you have the travel, travel agent hat. Thank you. So you have to book the hotel, the per diems, like feed everybody, because it cannot be just pizzas at McDonald's every day. It has to be healthy. You have to plan it properly. What times should they eat? Hire the proper nutritionist to handle all of that. So you have this. And then you have the part where it comes to the creative, because Roy handles the creative part. We usually work with Fuad Yamin, who handles also the script writing. And this is where we come in as well. And I try to audit it with them to try to make sure it's proper, because they're both creatives, that they can wander around a lot. So you have to bring them back. So you have the creative part, and then you move on to casting, because we need to cast for all of these people. And this is the part where a little bit of HR is involved with creative, and then you have to see a lot of people, and then go into negotiations, prepare agreements. So a legal part as well, to make sure the agreements are well written, well negotiated with everyone. And then the beautiful part starts. So you have the whole project management. What time are rehearsals? What time are they coming in? To try to maximize the time of rehearsals while remaining logical. And then you move to the more creative part. So it imagines a set design, but then you have to work with the set designers to create the set, and then the execution, the choosing the material. Is it going to be wood? Is it going to be styrofoam? Is it going to be steel? The security, what happens, all of that. And then you move to the part where you start with the costumes. So Rai has a vision for the costumes, so then we have to execute these costumes. So sometimes it's the costume designer that does the things en masse for the dancers, but you have to go and find well-renowned artists and designers to work on the costumes of the main cast, because they have to be different. Sometimes it's Bassem Fghali, sometimes it's Rami Adi, sometimes it's Rami Salamoun. So we work with a lot of people in the industry. And then you start with the marketing hat, because you need to market all of that, and shooting the ads and shooting the reports and creating ways and discussing the sponsorship agreements and the media partnerships. It doesn't end. I can go on for an hour only about how much anything we do.
But now I'm curious to know, how long does it take? So from the first step up until you have your first live show. How long does
So
it
for
take?
Chicago, we made the decision to do Chicago in December.
Okay.
We went live in May. So 5 months.
Is it the
Usually it's 5 months.
normal? Okay, is it the normal
No.
time? No.
No.
Okay. Usually it
And
takes.
everywhere around the globe, it takes years to do this job, and it takes an army to do this job. We in Lebanon are superheroes. I work with a team of superheroes, to be very honest, that we make all of this happen in so little time. Even we rehearse for like 3 months. In New York, they would rehearse for a year and a half on stage, that we
Wow.
get 3 days on stage.
Yeah.
So
Okay. What are the key elements actually to ensure the success of musicals, right? How can you know that this musical would be a success or not?
first of all, the script is very important, the story, because
Okay.
Chicago was a success because although it is a New York a New York Broadway musical, because it's an American story, but it's universal. It's about media, fame, corruption. It is something that exists everywhere. It exists a lot in Lebanon, so people would identify with it easily. So one, the script is very, very important. Two, the feasibility of it. Like when we chose Chicago, we were the first to go back to theater after the 2019 revolution in Lebanon, and then the COVID and the depreciation of the monetary, the dollar and the Lebanese lira. And we were the first to go in. So we had to choose something that also was financially logical. So we picked Chicago because we don't change costumes. So everybody is in one costume throughout the play. There is no big decor. It's just the orchestra sitting in a nice setting on stage. Everything else is just little props and elements. In total opposition of what we're doing right now for Anything Goes, the musical, which is a full-fledged production, 300 costumes, a huge decor of a ship on stage. It's totally different. So it's the script, then reading the era that we're working with. So the highest ticket for Chicago was $80. For Anything Goes, we finally could go up to $120, which is also nothing compared to what we pay when we go and watch something on Broadway. And then it's testing it as much as possible. We test it a lot. We test it internally. So we test it. They do it in front of us, and then we all give our comments. And maybe this is a bad joke, or maybe we could change this here. But then once it's a little bit at better stage, we get some people in. Also, friends that we know that would criticize it, that would give us their honest opinion. And then we test it on them and we see if they're laughing where they're supposed to laugh, or if they find something offensive or not. So we listen a lot to what's happening in the room. And that's something that we should give Roy credit for. Although he's a genius, he doesn't act, he's not full of himself. Let me put it this way. He listens a lot. He questions himself a lot, and we all do. So we all think that we're not good enough yet. We're not good enough yet. And I think this is what makes it good.
Okay. And one question for all these Broadway shows that you bring to Lebanon. So you actually need to have like a trade license or anything because you're taking, so you go so how does it go usually?
So all the rights to this Broadway musical are all owned by companies in the US. So we applied for the first time for Chicago. And we applied. There was a full form that we had to apply for. And it was honestly, when we were applying, I did not believe that we would get it. Like, I was like, Roy, they're not going to give us Chicago, man. We've watched Chicago on Broadway 10 times. We know which they're not. But then he was nagging and nagging and nagging. And we were sitting in my house and we were having a glass of wine. And he was like, Nayla, please do it. I was like, oh, fine. I opened the laptop. I started filling out the form.
Okay.
I put everything that we've done before, our CVs, the bits and pieces of our previous musicals, the level that we work with, the companies that we work with, my communication background, everything that could be there. Like now I don't do it anymore. So, and I applied for it, and then it was like 24 hours later, like, yes, you are eligible. You can go to step 2. Like,
amazing. So actually you need to believe,
Yes.
in it. So that
It's not easy. It's not easy. This is where my brother also in the US came in, and he was like, use these keywords. These are interesting. They say with it. But you put all the effort into the room and then you apply. But then exactly, you have to believe it.
Yeah.
And nothing is impossible. And just as a matter of fact of believing it, we were called after we did it for 2 days in Casino at the beginning.
Okay.
Because we were very skeptical about what this could be and how. Then we added a third day. And when we added the third day, we went to the cast and we said, like, guys, there's a lot of demand, but I'm not sure. Would you be willing to do it, even if it's, maybe we end up not paying for it, maybe end up being free or 50% of the wage. Are you okay? It's like, yes, do it. We're all in. And I added another night and it was fully booked. But then on that Sunday, so it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the feedback was amazing. So on Sunday night, I was like, guys, I think we're going to add another week. And I go, let's do that. I called Virgin Megastore and I told them to open another 2 nights, same prices, same. They announced it on Thursday, on Monday at 9 a.m.
Okay.
By Monday, 12 p.m., we were almost fully sold out.
Wow, that's
like
amazing.
they called me and they said, like, Nayla, we haven't seen queues in Virgin ticketing in so long. Like, thank you. I was like, thank you. And then one thing led to the other, and then we had the Beit Din Festival committee come and watch it. Miss Nora Jamlat came personally to watch it, although she was not supposed to come, but she really wanted it after she heard all of the feedback. She came to watch it, and when we were leaving, she held my hand and she said, Nayla, I've watched Chicago on Broadway. I've watched it in Paris, and I promise you, this is better, and this is going to Beit Din.
Wow, very rewarding. That's an amazing feeling.
And then in so we went to Beit Din, and it was also 3 fully sold out nights. And when we were preparing for Beit Din, I received a phone call, and I was like, hi, I'm Sarah. I work at the New York Times, and I would like to come watch Chicago بالعربي because my editor would like me to make a piece. What? New York Times. And she flies out of New York to Beirut to come watch in Beit Din Chicago بالعربي. and she makes a piece out of it, and it's featured in the New York Times. After the amazing feedback, they actually, the second day, they put it on the first page of the international New York Times. That was read by millions. So imagine that we were sitting and not being sure that we would get the license to being featured on the front page of the New York Times.
That's an amazing story. That's an amazing story.
Believe, yes.
Like, amazing.
Really perfect.
So, okay, since then, how did you actually, it's not that, okay, so now you're famous, right? So everyone knows who is Nayla, who is Khoury today in the Lebanese scene, at least. Yeah. In the
But we have to calm down a little bit. My daughter asked me, "Mommy, are you famous?" No, Mom, I don't think I am.
I mean, everyone knows, in the musical scene, in the theater scene, who are Nayla el Khoury today. So actually, my question for you is that you brought Chicago. It was amazing. So now you're bringing another big international. We can talk about it also. So how can you keep up actually with such stuff?
It's partnering up with the right people. After Chicago بالعربي, after the huge success of Chicago, our sound engineer, who I don't go anywhere without, called AD Jazra, introduced us to Carol Smeha. He's her sound engineer as well. She doesn't go anywhere without him. So we sat together. Unfortunately, Carol could not watch Chicago in person, but she heard all of it. And then she was like, guys, after 15 years, if I were to come back to the stage with anyone, it would be with you. Like, okay, that's perfect. Let's do this. Yeah. And sitting with Carol Smeha and talking about her being in a musical is another level of partnering up with the right people, because people are going to see her on stage and they're going to understand the level of diva and artist that she is, how she masters her voice and how she masters her movement and everything. And after 15 years coming back to the stage with us, that's something amazing. And on a different level, we also after Chicago, we partnered up with a childhood friend as well, with Tariq Karam. He saw it and he was like, "Why are you doing this alone? Come, let's do this together." And we created together a company called Pipeline.
Okay.
Because just Roy and me alone, we couldn't go bigger than this. We didn't have the time or the effort or the right people to do this. So when we sat together, Roy, Tariq and I, and we put a plan, we took also with us the theater scene in Lebanon to a different level. We have productions every month or two in Lebanon. We created a series of tributes. We started with a tribute to Dalida. It was called Mourir sur scène, which also was a huge success. It was supposed to be 2 nights, ended up with 5.
Yeah.
We brought together Georges Khabez and Adel Karam on stage for Khiel Sahra. We had so far 56,000 people who watched it at Casino du Liban. Now we're doing Iyam al-Lulu. It's a tribute to Sabah. Was supposed to happen in November. It's going to be happening in June because of the war. We also started a line for children, because we believe that that's the only thing that doesn't exist in Lebanon properly. There's so many entertainment shows that we love, that we take our children to, but it's not musical theater. It's not theater for children. And that's a line that we started with a taster called The Christmas Gift and Christmas for the children, and that we're continuing and pursuing as well, creating something called Nihna wa Sghar. It's like a musical, jukebox musical of all of the songs that we used to sing. And the whole story is about how children don't know how to play anymore without their iPads and their tablets, and how they should go back to playing outside, to using their imagination and stuff like that. And that's something that we're working on. So we're trying as much as possible to create lines of production for the largest chunk of people, because we love theater and we know how much people love theater. And I know that musical theater is not for everyone.
Right.
So we're trying to go for different types of productions, of theater production, because we love theater.
I love it. Amazing. I love the idea about bringing, for kids also, opening the new target market. Yeah. It's amazing. So actually, you went from bringing world-class, Broadway shows to creating actually your own shows, right? And
Correct.
your musical. So that's
Correct.
another level. But you will be continuing doing both, right? Bringing Broad.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay.
Hopefully, yes. That's the point, is to keep doing both. Like before Chicago, we created our own musical production. It was called Majnoon Layla the Musical.
Okay.
But it was a production that we created fully in terms of music, composing, lyrics, story, everything. But also we were in an era in Lebanon where nothing was stable. So we couldn't pursue that. We did it only for 10 times and Krasnodar. It was success, not as huge as Chicago, of course, but it was a success. But back then it was a different way of seeing musical theater. So our aim is to continue this juggling between creating our own and getting licensed musicals, because we have enough creativity to do both. We would like to introduce people to much more musicals that exist on Broadway or West End, some things that are timeless, but also create our own based on our own stories and culture.
Oh, nice. And what's your ambition today? So all what you are doing is in Lebanon. You want to stay in Lebanon, or you're looking, to, in the region? Why not?
Hala, I'm in Qatar right now when we're doing this interview, but by the time it's on, I hope I'll be in Lebanon. Of course, we are working in the GCC area for now. So we are in Doha. We have a project coming up in Riyadh in the upcoming few weeks. But our ambition is Lebanon. You know how you take a flight and go to New York to watch the latest Broadway, or you go to Las Vegas to watch the last magic show? I want people to come to Lebanon to watch theater. I want Beirut to be the landmark for that as well. Just like you have West End in London, just like you have Broadway in New York, just like you have Las Vegas. Let's have Lebanon be the center of theater production in the region, because one, we have the capacity to. Second, we have the creativity and we have the platforms and the freedom. Like nowhere else you can say whatever you want on stage without any kind of censorship, any kind of limits. Like practically in Chicago, honestly, the girls were wearing lingerie, but it was not offensive for everyone, because in that setting and the way it was done with the lighting and the light design, it's just the purpose of the story. It's not to sell anything else. Mm-hmm. So the freedom that we have in Lebanon and the capacities and the human element that we have, I think this ambition is to have Lebanon be the center of all of this.
That's a beautiful ambition.
Thank you.
Well, Nayla, you're not just a producer, you're also at foremost a mother of two, right? So tell us a bit, how do you manage, of both roles?
It's hard, to be very honest. It's very hard. But first and foremost, I wouldn't have done any of this if I did not have the proper support system. One, starting with my husband, who's an amazing husband, who does understand very clearly that it's a 50-50 job. I handle them for 9 months, but that means we both later on have to commit together. So sometimes when he's fed up, I was like, I held them for 9 months. So that I have an amazing husband, it's an amazing support system, and plus so we started a conversation with Lebanon and how the value system is there. And then there's my parents, and there is Philippe's parents, and then there is our friends who also act as our, they're surrounded with love when I'm not there. And that's the only thing that's mega important to me, is that even if I'm not there physically, the love is still there. They're still covered and showered with love. But it doesn't mean that it's easy. It's hard. Like I'm here in Qatar. I've been here for 5 weeks and 10 days to go. And it's the hardest part. But this will also teach them that later on they can dream and they can have careers and they can go out, just like men are expected to leave and to go work and come back. Them later on as women can do this. But they also know that they are my top priority. And then if they need anything, I would just take the plane, come in a minute and without blinking an eye, and then would throw everything away. And that's something that they know, that they tested with me, that I would leave anything and come home to them. And this is what built a proper relationship between us. They're okay with me traveling. They're okay with me. They come and visit. They were here just last weekend. They do understand the dynamics. when I'm in Lebanon, it's very long hours. So they come to the theater a lot and they sit with me. They're part of the productions. They give their opinion. And actually creating a musical theater with them was their idea. Like Catherine, my 9-year-old girl, my eight. She's gonna soon be 8. Oh no. So she comes to Roy and say, I don't understand. So you do all of these productions for adults. What about me? What about me and my friend? And he was like, all right, you've got it. We're gonna do one. And then we create the whole musical for them. And then we come and we tell them, Kate, we did it. And we're going to create this. And she said, like, is it in Arabic? It's like, yes, mama. Call Roy. I called her. I don't understand. You do all of this and then you end up doing it in Arabic. I don't get Arabic. Do it in French. So they're very much involved in the whole process. And actually, what we did is we amended the play to include 3 languages because this is how we listen to our audience. So I know Arabic is very hard for children at the beginning. It's a very hard language. So we try to include English and Arabic and French. And this is how we involve them in the process and they feel like they're part of it and they're proud to be part of it. And plus part, of course, playing dress up and trying the costumes and getting the backstage access. It compensates a little bit.
Nice. I love actually how you take them with you so they can feel that they are part of it. It's
Anytime I have one of my friends getting pregnant, my first thing for them is that don't go so much into their life. Bring them into your life, and this way they can have a better life and you can have a better life. Like if we end up just sitting at home with them doing only their activities, traveling alone because they're not supposed to travel. Like I took my children on planes. They were 6 and 7 months old because I did not want to go do this alone. I wanted them to be with me. I did not want to be on the phone with my mother all day checking up on them. It makes my experience better because I'm worryless. They're with me and they get to see the world and they get to experience things differently. So we try to make it work as much as possible. We'll see when they grow up if I messed up or not.
No, I'm sure they grow up just, to become wonderful women. So they have a great mom.
Thank you.
Nayla, can you share some news about your upcoming musicals and theater productions you're bringing at the region? Anything you feel is it?
All right. So the project we're working on here in Qatar, I can't disclose a lot of information. It's with Qatar Foundation, part of their vision and educational program, but I can't disclose information. Right. Then we land in Lebanon and we go to HOW, the magic show, which is going to be a one-of-a-kind show. It's a modern magic. We're bringing together 5 world champions of magic, like the best mentalist in the world, the German champion of manipulation, the Penn and Teller only 4 times winner, and the FISM champion. So for the people who understand magic, understand how big these titles are. And we're having a modern magic experience in Lebanon. We haven't had proper magic in Lebanon for so long. People remember it like big boxes and people cutting off people. That's not what it is. It's more mentalism. It's more fun. It's immersive. It's a wonderful experience.
Okay.
And then up to the very big musical, Anything Goes بالعربي that we've discussed, coming back. Carol Smehat coming back to the stage with us. It's going to be in May.
Okay.
Then in June, we have the tribute for Sabah, Dalida. And then in summer, we have repeating a couple in some festivals. Not done yet. And another show for children as well happening in summer. We're keeping ourselves busy.
Very busy. Very busy year. Amazing. So Nayla, you as a person, what's next for you? So what are your ambitions?
A break?
Yes. Very valid. Okay.
Honestly, right now, I'm living my ambition, to be very honest. I'm in my ambition is to have settled in terms of a family first, having my children, they grow up, they're building them, etc. They're there. So from a family perspective, from a communication perspective, MAD is up and running. We have A-class clients. The system works. We're among the first who created this remote agency, and it's working and it's growing. We started as 4. We're now a team of 15. So that's working as well. And in terms of theater, I think we're just living the dream right now, having 4 or 5 productions per year. I think that's the dream for it. And personal production. It's not like just getting shows and just paying people to come and do it. We're actually producing all of this, actually part of the creative work. We're creating so many job opportunities for a lot of people, working with the best talents in the country and even sometimes in the region. So that's actually being part of it. My dream is to have a theater, a proper opera theater in Beirut. It doesn't make sense that our country does not have an opera theater, that we only have one big theater, which is Casino du Liban, which I love, and I love the people that work there, and I love the setting and everything. But it's not normal that we don't have an opera house proper. We had the best, but they were destroyed during the war. But no funds were ever created for actually rebuild these theaters. I believe it's something super mega important. So that's a dream. If that's an ambition, that would be it.
Two last questions for you. So the first one would be, to all these young professionals today who are looking to go into the production industry, what advice would you give them?
Long hours. Is that this new generation that, don't get me wrong, I love, but I work with a lot, break under pressure very easily. They don't they don't tolerate these long hours, which maybe they're right. Maybe we are messed up generation that overworks and doesn't put their phone down. You work the weekends, and maybe it is the right way to just say, no, now it's my time and I feel burnt out. But it doesn't work so far. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of personal development. It takes a lot of discipline to be in this kind of business. And so far, the people who don't have discipline, who are not willing to put in the hours, are the ones to leave super early.
Oh.
And the ones who are there, because when I go, sometimes I arrive to the theater at 7 a.m. I leave around 1 or 2 a.m. second day. It is long hours. It requires a lot of patience, a lot of dealing with people, and it is part of the job. Sometimes you just wake up and you have nothing to do, and that's also part of the job. And it takes a lot of discipline to accommodate both, and to get as much experience as possible, no matter what the job is. And because sometimes I hear, oh, it's in Casino, but I live in Beirut. Yes, it's a 20-minute ride. So yes, just get in the car and go here. So yeah, if these are the things that we deal with the most, and this is what I would say: just take every opportunity, no matter how small it is, because you don't know where it would lead you.
Do you actually open your door to anyone who would like to come and see, or do like an internship? I don't know.
We have a lot of interns, and most of the people that I work with started as interns and stayed, because the stamina is very important and the character is very important. When you're working in the theater, there's so many things that you can't hide. When you're shooting a movie or anything for TV, you can edit whatever you want and hide anything that you want behind a camera. But in the theater, when people go on stage, they are in direct contact with the audience. And if there's tension, the audience will feel it. If there's tension backstage, the audience would feel it. Okay. And this is the most important part, is that we create a nice atmosphere to work with, to have fun. And this is how we test people. I never hired a person to be on my team that I first met. Hello, yes, how you are hired. They're always interns at the beginning, no matter how advanced they are, because I would like to get to know them first. If they can take it, how do they handle stress? How do they handle talking to people, because it's a people job. And so this is why we have a lot of people who come in and stay with us.
Okay. Nice. Very interesting.
Thank you, sir.
Nayla, one last question that I always like to ask my guests, at the final one. If you have any book to recommend to our listeners today, what would be this book?
Okay. I love books. I read a lot of books. One that is, in my opinion, very different from everything else is Sapiens. I love Sapiens because it opens your eyes about the whole mankind in understanding people and understanding how people think and how small you are in this entire universe. And this is what also keeps you on the ground, is to understand that you're one tiny little person in a universe, and the evolution and everything that changed throughout the years. And you're just passing through, and your life is going to be very short. So better enjoy it. I mean, it's a mind opener to a lot of things.
Okay, nice. It's been truly inspiring, actually, to hear about your journey, the passion you bring to production, Well, I know you're actually shaping the theater scene in Lebanon. So
That's a
that
very big
place was actually,
responsibility.
thank you for sharing your whole story with us.
Thank you for having me, and I hope I did not talk a lot. You don't have a lot of editing to do.
The contrary. So thanks a lot. And for everyone else, stay tuned for our next episodes of Evolve Voices. And as usual, keep evolving.
Now make sure you subscribe to Evolve Voices, this leading and incredible project where our ambassadors are interviewing amazing professionals from all over the world so they can share their perspective and benefit you with their perspective, their knowledge, and you can understand what's happening in the different markets. Evolve Voices is a project part of the Evolve Commerce Club, the #1 and leading community where we connect international professionals in the world of commerce. We are now connecting professionals in more than 40 markets, and every week we invite an expert to share their perspective and their knowledge. So if you'd like to know more, you can always look at the comments. We have a link there so you can request your application and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching. All the best. Ciao.